All right, so let's go. Welcome, everybody. I am so happy that you're here today for the OLA Speaker Orientation. This is an orientation for anyone delivering a session or a poster at the upcoming OLA Super Conference. I am recording this orientation and it will be posted to the speaker resources page when we're done. The orientation in January, as I mentioned, January 6th will be a repeat of this information, but feel free to attend if there's anything that you still have questions about, or if you have to drop out halfway through, that's not a problem. So welcome, I am Michelle Arbuckle. I'm the conference director of the OLA Super Conference. I'm the director of member engagement and education here at OLA, and I'm happy to be here with you today and answer any questions you might have. It would be wonderful if you want to introduce yourself in the chat so we can see who all is here today. If you have the capacity to rename your little Zoom box so that we can see your name and potentially your library system, that is always helpful as well. Right. So the way that we're going to structure today's orientation is in 3 sections. First, we're going to focus on the tasks and deadlines that will occur ahead of the conference, ahead of January 27th. I'm going to show you how you will go about recording and uploading your session or your poster. And then we'll talk about your role as a speaker during the actual conference, the week of February 1st. So I will show you how your presentation will appear to your audience, what the Q&A looks like from the speaker perspective and from the audience perspective. And lastly, we'll discuss what happens after the conference, how you could update any of your last minute handouts, and I'll provide you with info on what you'll receive back afterwards in terms of information or evaluation data that we collect about your presentation. So let's get started. Okay, so first I want to just get a sense of, I'm going to just bring up a poll here. I want to get a sense of who has attended the conference previously. So let me know, have you attended in person, virtually, both virtually and in person, or have you never attended the conference before? You can only choose one. I did not include an I don't remember category, but it is 2021, so I won't hold it against you if you have no memory of these things. All right, we'll give it one more minute. And by 1 minute, I mean 5 seconds. Okay, so this is interesting. So about 52% of you have attended virtually in the past, which is great. And almost 20% of you have never attended either in person or virtually. So that is very interesting and helpful for today. So I'm going to talk a little bit then basically about the structure of the virtual conference. It is very similar to how things were structured last year. So if you were there last year, it looks very similar. The conference takes place over 5 days from Tuesday, February 1st to Saturday, February 5th. Tuesday is exclusive to our exhibitors, so there will be vendor sessions and meetings on that day. Saturday features presentations for our school library and our public library board sectors. And every day, the education session, so the sessions that you're all involved in, will be scheduled from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. There's a keynote each day that starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, and there will be a lot of other live chats and things that are scheduled in throughout the day, but all of your sessions are scheduled between that time of 11 and 5. I should also mention that all sessions are 45 minutes. So if you are presenting, whether you're doing a panel with a video or pre-recorded slides, you have 45 minutes and your session will start on the 15 mark of the hour, unless of course you're in Newfoundland and then it's on the 45 mark of the hour. So if you're presenting, it's 11:15, 1:15, 2:15, etc. You have 45 minutes, so until the top of the next hour. So before the conference, here are some details that you need to know. Over the next 43 days, which takes us to January 27th, you have the following tasks to get through. You need to log into your speaker portal, complete any tasks that might be outstanding, such as your speaker bio or photo, that kind of thing. And then you also need to upload your presentation slides or your captured video or your poster image. So let's start at the beginning. This is what the login page looks like to the speaker portal. So please ensure when you're logging in that you're using the credentials that I emailed to you last week. The subject of that email was your OLA speaker portal login. It was sent on December 9th around 1:45 in the afternoon, if you need to look that up and check your spam folders. Some people are still trying to log into the submission site. That was back in the other system when you first made your submission back in August or September. But this is a completely different entryway. It's a different system, and all of the information that we need to pull you into the conference site is here. So make sure, please, that you're in the right place. And you'll know because at the top it says Conference Harvester, which is the vendor's terrible way of saying speaker portal, but there you have it. Look for Conference Harvester, and then you know you're in the right place. Once you log in, your screen will look like this. So this is my speaker page, and you can see I am a terrible speaker who has 5 outstanding tasks. I'm kidding, I'm not judging anyone. My tasks that are left here are my biography, my photo, my profile info, and then also my session description and my learning objectives. Now, you may not see all of those tasks if you're not the lead presenter for your session. If you're a co-presenter and someone else is the lead, then you will only see the first 3 tasks. Anything that is related to your presentation has to be completed by the lead presenter. And that includes posters. So if you're a co-author on a poster, you won't be able to, for example, update the poster title. You have to go to the lead presenter to make those changes. So I am presenting a session with pre-recorded slides and audio. So you'll see the bottom 3 tasks relate to that. My slides and audio are due by January 27th. My final handout is due by February 5th. I'm actually going to amend that. It should be February 8th. So please aim to have your handout uploaded by the time your session starts. I think it's useful if you have your handout updated and uploaded for all of your attendees when your session starts, so you can refer them to the handout while you're presenting. But you will have time if, for example, a change needs to be made or whatever, to do that until after the conference. No, handouts are not required. They are an option. And we'll talk more about handouts in a little bit later. I'm just going to check this chat. If we're uploading a video and providing our own captions, how do we upload the captions separately from the video? Yes, good question. If you want to upload your captions, just convert it into a, if you want to upload a transcript, which is, I'm not sure if you're asking that, but if you wanted to upload a transcript, just convert that to a PDF format and then you can upload it that way. But if you are looking to upload captions so that they appear in the video, that's not possible in the format. So you need to upload a video file that includes that. And you know what? I'm going to get to video stuff in a little bit, so I'm going to leave that for now. Andrea, I'm going to get to your question in 1 second. So next, we're going to talk about presentations. And I'm going to ask you all another question. I would love to get a sense of what people are presenting here, what types of sessions people are presenting, and who is here in this room. So if you can let me know if you're presenting a poster, a session by yourself, a session with one other person, or a session with more than 2 people. I'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay, so that's great. So we have 3 poster people here, and then the majority of you are presenting with more than 2 people. That's really interesting. Follow-up question to that. Are you presenting slides for, sorry, this is for those who are presenting sessions, not posters. Are you presenting with slides and audio, uploading a video, or are you not sure? Okay. So we're about neck and neck with people presenting slides and audio and video. And interestingly, 35 of you are not sure what you're presenting. So, okay, that's great. We can get into that. I'm just going to run back to one question from before. Will the bio and photo carried over from the proposal, will your bio and photo that you put into your proposal carry over? Yes, it will carry over, I'm pretty sure, but you still need to go in and approve it. So if you want to make any adjustments to it, you need to log into that task and just click finalized, and it will finalize that information. Can presentations be both slides and audio? No, you need to choose one, but let me give more context to that. There are two routes in the system that you will use as a presenter of a session. And I need to know ahead of time which of those you're choosing. So for those who indicated that you are conducting your session as a panel, or if you have multiple presenters, we have recommended, or you have automatically been given the option to upload a video. So for panelists where you're not presenting slides, there are, more than 3 of you in a Zoom room speaking, you will record that as a video and upload the video. You also just have the option, if you would prefer to, be in a Zoom room presenting on camera, sharing your screen like I'm doing right now, you can do that. But if you log in as the lead speaker and you see the task upload slides and record audio, that means that you need to let me know you want that video option. So I have to change that in the back end so you get that task pushed out to you. I believe in this submission, you were asked if your presentation was, I can't remember what the exact wording was, but it was essentially not a panel. And anyone who indicated that has been given the slides and audio designation. All right. Okay. So for those of you who are presenting slides and audio, you'll see the task labeled upload slides and record audio. And this is what you see when you go to upload your slides. So each speaker will need to upload their own slides. There have been some speakers, at least last year, where the speakers were all in the same room. I don't know many people that are doing that right now, but if you have the capacity to do that in your organizations, they were in the same room. And so in that case, one speaker uploaded the slides and people just came and sat in front of the microphones to record their own audio. I'll show you what I mean when I get into what this looks like, but it's not possible. For example, if I have 4 speakers in my presentation, I can't upload all of our slides and then allow other people to come in and record their audio. I upload my slides, I record my audio, and then the next person uploads their slides and records their audio. So I hope that's clear. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. You are able to upload multiple format types here for your slides. So you could upload a PDF, PowerPoint, or Keynote slides. You would just click on choose file, find the file on your computer, and then click submit file here. And the speaker portal will then start processing your slides in the backend. Deb asks, can slides be used in a panel in a Zoom room? We are recording our panel virtually as we are not in the same location. Yes. So if you are recording in a Zoom room with slides, then your option is you're uploading video. You're not uploading slides and audio. Is it not possible to record the audio at the same time if we are in the same room and upload it as one section? It certainly is, Clara. And in that scenario, the lead presenter would upload the slides. And then, like you said, you can hand off the microphone to each of your presenters. Is
Michelle,
there? Yeah.
Well, can I jump in? I just want to clarify one thing based on some of these questions. If you upload a video, can you also upload the slides as like a handout so people can download? Yes. So that I hope that answers some of the question. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay. Thanks, Esteban. Yeah, you would just download your slides as a PDF and then upload that as a handout. Helen asks, is there a recommended format for panel videos? Yes, I'm going to get there. Does that mean that if we do slides and audio, we can't alternate speakers throughout the presentation? Yes, Kristen, that's exactly what that means. So when your audience watches the presentation, it will be in the sections of each speaker. So if I have 4 speakers listed for my presentation, they will see those slides in order of the speakers as they're listed on the website. So they would start with me, and then I would go through speakers 2, 3, and 4. You cannot weave back and forth between speakers if you're using the slides and audio option. If your presentation is formatted in a way where it's a conversation or you're going back and forth and sharing slides, then you will need to do the video upload, and you'll need to record that on your own through Zoom. The way that Cadmium works, the vendor that we're using, every speaker's information is set up on their own. It's kind of set up in a way that it assumes you're presenting your own thing, and then it goes on to the next presenter in line. All right. So this is just showing you here that I have uploaded my slides. I've pressed submit, and I'm getting a little thumbs up here that tells me my file was uploaded on Tuesday, December 14th. And at this point, I can start recording my audio. So I would head back to my tasks and click on record audio. This is the screen that comes up when I've pressed on record audio. So just a note, the speaker portal does need a few minutes of processing time, so you might get this error. If you do, it's just that you've moved too quickly and it's still working on your slides. So go do something else for a few minutes, and this task should open up within a couple of minutes. But if you continue to get this error, then let me know. Once your slides are processed, this is what the audio task looks like. So your slides will appear individually, and you can click on the one that you want to record for. It seems logical to me to start at the beginning and make your way through, but if you needed to jump ahead for any reason, you can do that and save the audio recording. You can also record a slide and then abandon and come back to it later. You don't need to complete all of the recordings in one sitting. So I've clicked on the first slide, and you'll see up in the corner, there's a start recording button in blue, and I just click on that when I'm ready to start. Here you can see that I recorded 18 seconds of audio for my opening slide. I can listen back to it here, and I can decide if I want to save it or delete it before moving on. But you will need to save the audio for each individual slide. So make sure you're doing that. It won't really let you move forward unless you do. I also just want to make a quick note here about recording audio, because I know it can be awkward to do this on your own, but you need to put yourself in the space of your audience. So if you're going to be engaging with people attending your session, which I encourage you to do, you want to leave some space for that. So much like I did today, if I asked a question on my slide, I let some time, I left some breathing room in the air. So if I wanted to ask people, which library you're joining us from, or, put a prompt into the chat, you want to give people some time to respond before you continue talking. And in order to do that, you need to actually record that silence. So there isn't a way to stop in between slides or your talking points. You need to build in and record the silence in order to create that space. So make note of that in your script and keep it in mind when you're timing out your presentation. This is what it looks like when I have finished the audio task. This page tells me how long I recorded for, and I need to click the complete task in the upper right-hand corner. Please don't forget to click that button when you're done. If you're presenting with other people, make sure that each of you knows how much time you have to present, and do your best to stay within that given time. So if you know that you only have 10 minutes and then you finish your recording and you see you've actually done 14, you might want to go back and re-record some of those lengthier slides. I'm going to look at the question here. Is it true in the video as well? Should we be creating spaces for comments during a panel? Absolutely, yes. Because there's no way you won't have control, for example, to pause the video when the presentation is happening. So the way that you watch the video is how your audience will experience that. So you'll want to build in any pauses where you're referring people to the chat. Make sure you build that into any silence you want to put in. 10 seconds or more from Thomas. Yes, I believe that is a question about how the minimum length of time for each slide needs to be at least 10 seconds. Kristen asks, so if we leave spaces and people are asking questions that go over the time we've left for questions, the video just keeps going and starts with the rest. Okay, so if you leave spaces, people are going to be asking questions of you throughout on the chat. And so you can be building that into the presentation as it goes. And you can also continue to answer questions when it's done. So when it's done, the video will just stop, but you'll still have access to the discussion and the question tabs. No, Rama, animation is not captured in slides. Can we re-record the video even after the complete task button is hit? Yes, you can, but keep in mind that that task closes January 27th. So you have, after January 27th, you cannot re-record your video. Can you use PowerPoint to create the video? I don't see why not. I've never done it, but if it creates an MP4 file, then yeah. Is it the same as last year where the audience can start the presentation whenever they want? So technically, people who are watching live at the release time, so when people may be at different points when in viewing, engaging with the chat. Yes, Valentina, that is correct. The video will open, the video or slides will open to your attendees 5 minutes before your presentation is scheduled to start. At that point, they can start it immediately, or they could start it at the time it starts. But you're right, everyone will be at a little bit of a different spot in the presentation. So you can just acknowledge that in the chat box. Christine says PowerPoint will export as MP4. That's great. Marty, do the participants start watching the video from the beginning or from whenever they log? I think I just answered that. So they can start within 5 minutes of the scheduled presentation time. If people are asking questions during the presentation, are we able to answer live or through the chat? So I'm going to get to that when I get to the Q&A part. Jelena, what format is recommended for the slides? The format for the slides is PDF, PowerPoint, or Keynote. Heather asks, if there are 3 colleagues doing a recorded audio presentation and one speaker will start off the presentation, then the next 2 people have a section and the first person comes back. Can this be one recorded presentation or does this need to be 4 recorded presentations? Hold on, let me wrap my head around this for 1 second. Okay, so Heather, in this scenario, you're talking about a slides and audio presentation. They can only do what you're describing if you're all recording your audio in the same room. But you would not be able to do that in the way it's set up right now. Lily, the 45-minute presentation time includes, the 45-minute is for the entire thing. So that includes all of your time with slides or video, but the Q&A box will stay up at the end of your presentation for the entirety of the conference. So that can extend beyond that time. Helen. Video panel presentation. Okay, so Helen's asking, should you intersperse questions throughout or keep them to the end? Helen, this is a personal question. I mean, it's whatever you want, but you're going to be there throughout the presentation, right? All of the speakers are going to be logged into the Q&A. So I encourage you to have questions throughout. I mean, you're not going to be presenting. Your only job during that time is to answer questions. So it doesn't make sense to me to hold a Q&A just to restrict it to the end. But, you know, a lot of people need that whole time to kind of take in the information and they wait until the end to get to their questions. So you'll want to be prepared for both, I think. And Nasheen says, if we're recording a video through Zoom rather than that presentation and then recording, where do we upload that? Okay, so I'm getting to that, Nasheen. Q&A is strictly chat. Yes. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Before we do, can anyone remind me in the chat how long your session is? Excellent work. Just checking. Okay. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about recording a panel. If your submission stated that your presentation was a panel, or if you've already reached out to me, then the lead presenter will see the video upload task in their speaker portal. A reminder that any co-presenters on your panel will not see this task. Only one person is charged with uploading the video, and that is the lead presenter. If you need to make a change to who that person is, then please let me know. If you don't know who that person is, connect with your co-presenters and see who has this task, but it's likely the person who submitted the initial submission. So this is an example of a lead presenter with a video task. Now, the speaker portal takes care of the actual video upload, but you will record your video on your own. So using Zoom or whatever video recording platform you might prefer, someone else mentioned doing it in PowerPoint. There's not an opportunity though to record or edit your video within the speaker portal. So whereas the people that are doing slides and audio are doing that within the speaker portal, the recording of your panel or your video has to occur on your own. And then when you go to complete this task, it's just a matter of uploading. So when I click on the video upload task, I'm taken to this page. I want you to note right now that there is an error on this page. I know no one has completed this task yet, so it's okay. Right now, it says that there's a limit of 100 megs on this file size, but that will be adjusted. That was an error, and the vendor is updating it. So it will actually be a 2 gigabyte limit and not a 100 megabyte limit as indicated here. This field does only accept MP4 uploads, and that is the default file type when you're exporting from Zoom. So that should make it easy for most of you. But if you're using a different type of recording platform, you may need to convert your file type. There's lots of video converters out there on the internet. You might just want to check in with your library media team to see if there's one they recommend, or maybe you already have one in-house. So a few tips on recording your video. I already mentioned the lead presenter is responsible for this task. Please make sure if you're recording using Zoom, which I recommend if you're already familiar with the platform. It's easy and you can record and export. I find it pretty easy to use. But please make sure when you download your video that you download the correct view. If you're not sharing your screen, you will want the gallery view so that we can see all of the speakers. And if you are sharing your slides or images, you'll want to download the screen share view. Remember to track your time in your video because the speaker portal will not do that for you in the same way that the slide and the audio uploader did. A couple presentation tips for yourself. Please use a microphone. The one that's inside your computer is typically okay, but I always recommend an external microphone. The reason being your internal mic is going to pick up any noise like a fan or keyboard noise or anything coming from your computer. I've yet to hear an internal microphone that sounds super crisp, but maybe there's someone out there ready to prove me wrong. So try out your ear pods, your headsets, see if anyone has in your library has something to borrow, or check out those Boxing Day sales. There's some pretty great mics out there right now. Introductions are important. Make sure when you're starting your video or even when you're doing your slides, introduce yourself, say your name, say where you're coming from, what your organization is when you start speaking. And if you are using Zoom or recording yourself on video, make sure that your little box has your name on it so that's coming up when you're speaking. If you're filming, try to get a good video at eye level. I think we've seen a lot of the insides of nostrils over 2021, and it's not a good look. So let's get the cameras up, prop your laptop up on some books, do what you need to do to get that angle up a little bit higher. But with that in mind, let's be mindful of what the camera can see and pick up on. I might be alone in this, but if you're talking and all I can see behind you is an open door or an unmade bed, that's honestly all I'm focusing at. That might be my own personal ADD situation. You don't need anything fancy. Don't invest in built-in bookcases on my account. Even just a blank wall is good to keep your audience focused on you and what you're saying. Yes, someone suggests blurring your background. My computer, for whatever reason, does not have the capacity to blur my background. It's old. I have already mentioned building in and recording silences that will allow your audience to engage with you in pre-recorded sessions. Remember that you will be there live in the chat to respond with them throughout. So I suggest not saving your Q&A time for the end. Incorporate it throughout or anticipate questions and prompts that you might work into the chat box in real time. And be sure to refer people to your handouts if those are relevant. Encourage follow-up questions if you have the capacity for that. Most library people are typically pretty open to sharing and answering questions outside of the conference. So if you're able to, leave your email or your social media handle for people to follow up. All right, I'm going to go back and see what questions we had about videos. Deb says, we have 2 panels, so we'll reach out as I only see okay, thank you, Deb. Follow up. Monica, question, is it entirely pre-recorded video? There's no real way to use polls, interactivity. Yes. Curious if others found a way to do that last year. If anyone has any suggestions, you could use something like Mentimeter if you put the link in your slides. But there's not a poll integrated into the conference interface. And yes, these sessions are entirely pre-recorded video. Can a panel upload separate videos for each member? No. You need that to be one video. So Jen, if you're going to be doing that, someone on your end needs to edit together those videos into one file. Marcia asks, for audio and slides, can you use a narrated PowerPoint presentation? No, you would need to record your audio separately from your slides in the speaker portal. Ainsley, do all speakers for the panel have to be registered to respond to the Q&A? Great question. No, you do not. And I'm going to show you more about that in a second. Marcia asks, when do we have to let you know if we would like to switch from audio to video? As soon as possible, but I'm here. So just let me know. It's an easy switch. It's just, there's over 300 of you. So, you know, it just might take some time to get to the request. But guess what? I got no meetings on my calendar all week next week. So it's a good time to get in touch. Lori says, is there any live captioning capability within the platform for the recorded piece, or do we need to add captions in our recording? Great question, Lori. Thank you. I believe that there are captions within the portal itself. But if you want to control that yourself on your end, I'm actually not an expert on this. I know that when you download Zoom, you know, you could turn on subtitles right now, for example, and record that, but I'm not 100% sure when you export the video if it keeps those captions in there. So that's something to experiment with. I know there's a way to do that. For example, if you upload it on YouTube, you can upload the captions separately, but you don't have that capacity within the speaker portal to upload separate captions. Okay. Helen asks, should the video be captioned? Same question. Yep. If I would suggest if you can caption it on your own, do that. And the only reason I suggest that is, you know, library people, we use a lot of acronyms and you know, technical jargon. So I like to go in myself and just make sure that the captions are correct. Whereas if you leave that to the vendor, there might be a little bit of a situation of them not correctly captioning. Nasheen does not see the video option on your portal. So yeah, just let me know, Nasheen, if you need to change that and I can send me an email. Helen, how do we improve the video image quality? This is a great question, Helen. I don't have an answer for you. I'm not a media person. I would get in touch with someone in your library to see if they have any recommendations. It sounds like you have a good, if you have a MacBook Pro, it should be a good camera, but I have a external webcam, Logitech, that is great. Let me know if you need help, but I would recommend asking someone in the library. Marty says you might need more light, Helen. Okay. Jeffrey, PowerPoint audio and slides can be exported to MP4. Thank you, Jeffrey. Valentina has some suggestions there for Helen. And Joanne asks, can we embed open captions burn in? I do not know those words. I'm sorry, Joanne. There is not an option to embed captions within the speaker platform. I will tell you that, the speaker portal. That's why I suggested, if you have a transcript, you might want to upload that as your handout. There will be, I'm pretty sure the vendor, I'll check on this and I'll have that information for you in the new year. The vendor last year anyway did have a captions option, but like I said, it wasn't always the most reliable. Okay. I'm going to get a drink. There are only 3 poster people here, but I'm just going to touch on this quickly for you, and so that those who are not attending can watch this information as well. This is our first year offering virtual posters, so it is a learning process for everyone. And I'm going to show you what the poster presentations look like from the audio perspective, because I think this helps answer a lot of questions. The posters are currently listed on the conference site, so you can see all of the titles of the posters. And this is an example from the ALA conference. I was able to see this as a registered attendee who had logged in, and this is exactly what it will look like for our conference. So you can see in the upper right-hand corner, there is a virtual poster image. And it also indicates here that this poster has audio. So when I click on that poster, this is what I see. The image enlarges to the size of the screen, and if audio has been uploaded, it will begin playing right away. Closed captioning is created by the speaker portal in this case. Poster presenters can record up to 10 minutes. I think right now it says 5, but I'm going to adjust that to 10. And only the lead poster presenter will be able to complete this task. So attendees can also choose to download a PDF of your poster here. If they hover over this image, the screen will enlarge in an area. So if I was hovering in the upper left-hand corner, it would be like a magnifying where it would zoom in on that area. There have been a few questions about the dimensions required for the poster, and really the platform is really flexible about that. There's no hard and fast rules about the orientation or the size of the poster. The only limitation is the file size, which is 100 megabytes. So this is an example of another one of the posters in portrait mode. So it's just showing you that, the first one was in landscape, this one's in portrait. If you have questions about how to create your virtual poster, let me know. I can always create a separate video about that. But essentially, it could be as easy as creating this in PowerPoint and exporting it as a PDF. Poster presenters are restricted to a PDF file type for their upload, and then your audio will be recorded the same way as the speakers doing the slides and audio had that recording feature. All right, any questions from our poster people? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your role as a speaker during the conference. So the part of the system, the conference system, it's called the audience response system, has been automatically turned on for all of your sessions. So this is based on the assumption that you will be available to answer questions during the time your session's been scheduled. If no one from your session is available, then please let me know, and we'll alert the audience about that. So the ARS allows your audience to engage in 2 ways: via a discussion tab, which allows them to talk to each other, or a question tab with specific questions that come to you as a speaker. So when you're answering questions, you can either do so privately to the person asking the question, or you can make your answer viewable to all attendees. So once again, we're back in the speaker portal where I'm logged in as Andrea Cacchetto, and I can see under her name here that there are 2 buttons, one to launch discussion and one to answer questions. This is different from last year. Last year, speakers couldn't actually view the discussion. You had to be logged in as an attendee to see this. You could only respond to questions. So it's a little bit different this year, thankfully. So as Andrea, as a speaker, I could have both of these tabs open at the same time on my computer. If you're used to multitasking like that and having those 2 things open, feel free to do that. or you might want to divvy up those tasks between the speakers. So you could have one person just answering questions and another looking at the discussion. This is an example from last year's conference that shows you a video upload session from the attendee perspective. So you can see here on the far right, we're in the questions tab, and Anna Maria in the back end has seen this question come through and typed in her answer, which you can see here, and which appears to everyone. You'll see there's this little points thing here. So other attendees who are watching the session can upvote questions. So if a question is more popular, it will be pushed to the top of the question queue, whereas others will be a little bit lower, but it's up to you what you want to answer or not. You even have the option to hide questions entirely. If we clicked over to this discussion tab here, that's the audience leaving comments and talking to each other, introducing themselves, thanking the speaker. These are generally comments that don't require replies, but you're welcome to engage with your audience in this area. I think it's a great space. It's more informal. There's no upvoting in the discussions area like there is in the questions area. So a reminder that both of these tabs will stay live until August 2022. I mentioned you can delete any question that you think is inappropriate or that you want removed from the backend. We ask that as speakers, you are available during the time of your scheduled session to answer your Q&A. And if you're able to log in again towards the end of the week, it would be great if you could answer questions that have come up from those who are viewing your session asynchronously after the presentation time. Poster presenters will also have a Q&A box on your poster page, but posters are not scheduled. So poster presenters will need to check in a few times throughout the conference just to check in on those questions, but you will access those in the same way through your poster portal. I'm going to check the questions. Should we plan to stick around a few minutes after the session to answer any questions, or will the Q&A discussion shut down? It won't shut down, as I mentioned. It will stay live for the entirety of the conference, and then people can view those questions and answers until basically the end of the conference. They won't be able to add new questions after February 5th, though. How do the questions and discussions from the speaker side? What will we see on our end? Okay, so I didn't take a screen grab. Did I? No, I didn't. I did not take a screen grab of that, but you know what? There is a video up on the speaker resources page about the Q&A. It's essentially just a web page that shows you a chat box similar to what you're seeing here in Zoom, but you have the option to delete the questions. Is there a way to be alerted about questions after the session is completed? Great question, Helen. I believe that Cadmium will do that, but let me check on that and I'll put that up on the speaker resources page and I'll bring that to the next orientation as well. Alternatively, you might just want to check in, you know, at a scheduled time later in the conference. Are we on camera if we upload slides? Can we do polls or do we put those questions in Q&A? So you are not on camera if you upload slides. Any questions that you want to ask need to go into the Q&A box. There are no polls in the conference platform, but you could push people to something external if you wanted to, like Mentimeter or, you know, a Google poll or something like that. You can put the link for that in the chat. Thomas, great question. Shall all of us acknowledge First Nations land? You're welcome to. We do acknowledge the land at the beginning of every day in the opening keynote. And our Indigenous Advisory Committee has asked us to keep it to that section. You're welcome, though, in your own individual sessions to do whatever you are comfortable with. Mamona's very excited about the multi-layers of engagement this setup is offering. Well, thank you. That's lovely. Monica, yes, the question about being alerted to questions that come in months later. Oh, okay, few cancel that one. Yes, that will not happen. People might, if you leave your email, people will likely check in with you, but there won't be questions coming through the conference platform. Andrea, can we check back in throughout the week and answer more questions as they come, or can the video only be viewed during the time it's scheduled? The video and the questions will be accessible from the time it's scheduled until August 22nd. People will only be able to add their questions until the end of the day on February 5th. After that time, the question box will be viewable only. Will there be ASI interpretation and live closed captioning available for the sessions? Asks Darren. We do not have ASI interpretation, no. If you are doing a video upload, there is, as I mentioned before, vendor closed captioning, or you can include your own in your video. And if you are doing slide and audio recording, there is closed captioning that the vendor provides. In the presenter view, do we see the recorded presentation playing at the same time as the chat window? Do we know when the presentation? No. So Lori asks, do we know where the question is coming in at what point in the presentation? No, you do not, because people will be coming in at their own various times and asking a question. So I know it takes some facilitation to kind of clarify where the context around someone's question. So you'll need to be prepared for that. So if you have a image heavy slide deck and someone says, wow, where'd you get that image? You'll need to drill down on what exactly they're asking about. Okay, great questions. So a reminder to join us in the speaker Slack group. You did receive this invitation in the email that I sent you on December 9th. We'll be using this group more as questions come up leading up to the conference. And this is really helpful on the day that you're presenting if you need to get quick support from the OLA team or from the planners. If you're not sure what the heck Slack is, or you need some help with downloading that, let me know. I can hang out here for another 10 minutes or so as well. Upload your handouts. As I mentioned, you have until the end of the conference to complete this task. The audience always appreciates a takeaway. You don't need to upload your slides as a PDF if you're doing the slides in audio, but if you're doing the video upload, then you might want to do that. Okay. Each speaker has the opportunity to share a handout. But here's a caveat. So each speaker will see this task, this handout task, but only one handout will appear to attendees. It's kind of a limitation on the vendor side. So we only have the ability to display one handout button. So if you have multiple handouts, you might either want to merge them or direct people to like a shared drive or something, or a web page where they can access all of your handouts. I think that answers your question, Elisa, max number of handouts. There's not a max number if you're directing them, like I said, to an external drive, or if you have a bunch of PDFs and can combine them into one file, that would be great. Sorry, Marty, I just see your question now. Can you post a link in the Q&A discussion forum? Absolutely, yes, and it would be live. Next, I just want to encourage you to please register. Registration is open now. You are eligible for speaker pricing, the price of which is a ticket is $50 for speakers. But many of your organizations now have site licenses. If they don't, please tell them to get in touch with me because we would love to provide a site license for your organization. And if you have a site license, then you will be registering for an institutional ticket and not a speaker ticket. The speaker ticket is just a type with special pricing. It doesn't give you access to anything different, or, it doesn't track you in any way. It's just an option for you if your organization doesn't have a site license. So upcoming deadlines. A reminder, please register if you can earlier, sooner than later, so that we can get you in. The conference site will merge with all of our registered attendees on January 20th, but we for sure would like to get you registered before February 1st when the conference starts. All of your other deadlines in terms of your presentation uploads are for January 27th, and you need to upload your handout by February 8th. We'll be doing another orientation on January 6th if anyone wants to join that. And are there any other questions? So like I said, I can stay here until 1. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Andrea says you can accept all cookies. I don't know what that means, but I like cookies. What does speaker presentation order mean? Oh, good question. Speaker presentation order really only affects people that are doing slides and audio. Sorry, I'm just going to stop sharing this now. So speaker presentation order is relevant to those presenting slides and audio because the slides will play in the order that your speakers are listed. So for example, if Esteban and I are presenting and we know we've set up our slides so that I do the first 5 and he does the next 5, our names need to appear in that order on the website. Michelle needs to be first and then Esteban. If Esteban was first on the site, then it would start halfway through the presentation to the end, and then I would come in to present the first 5 slides. So it wouldn't make sense to the audience. So it is important for those doing slides and audio, but for a video, it doesn't matter because you only have the one person uploading a video. I'm going back here. Hold on. Deb, if your library has a site license, which they do, thank you, Oakville Public Library. Yes, you can just go in and register using your site license information, which they should be sharing with you soon because they do have it. Oh, thanks, Jen. Thanks for joining us, Guelph Public Library. Is the speaker rate just for the day or the whole conference? All of the rates are for the whole conference. We don't actually have day rates because we don't have the technical ability to restrict someone to just a day. So once you're in, you can access the whole kit and caboodle. Thank you for joining us, Thomas. You said you'd address speakers who weren't attendees. How would they respond to questions? Thank you for that, Ainsley. Yes. So you do not need to register in order to answer questions for the conference. Of course, we want you to, because we want you to support OLA and we would love to still be around next year to do another conference. No pressure though. So if you're not registered, you can still access your speaker portal. So anything you're doing in the conference, you're doing that through the speaker portal, not through the conference site that attendees are using. So you can access your the discussion tab and the Q&A chat boxes from the speaker portal as a speaker. You're not accessing that as an attendee. You can't watch your session as it's happening. You have access to it though, so you could do that on your own. But you don't need to be registered to access those portions of the portal. Do all presenters on my panel have to register for the conference? So no, they don't have to, but we would love them to because they will be answering questions through their speaker portal. Lois, I'm happy to help you with Slack. Lily, speaker ticket will give us access to yes, speaker ticket gives you the same type of access as any other ticket. All of the tickets are the same type. Thanks for joining us, Helen. Mabel, if you have a co-speaker, you need to email me that person's name and email address. Shannon and Leslie ask, to confirm for slides and audio, we will not be seen live on the screen on the day of. We need to introduce ourselves, include our pictures in our slides. Also, our slides and audio total have to come in under 45 minutes, which includes introductions and conclusions. Yes to all of those questions, Shannon and Leslie. You will not be appearing on screen at any point, like in video. You do need to introduce yourselves. Lovely idea to include your pictures on your slides. And yes, please keep it to 45 minutes, inclusive of everything. Okay, Marty asks, just wanted to confirm we can only upload videos under 2 GB. If the video is larger, we have to find a way to reduce the size. Is that right? Or can Cadmium help us upload a video that is larger than 2 GB? You need to get it under 2 GB. please and thank you. If you need help, let me know. There's lots of compressors out there that I can suggest, but that's a Google search away. Marcia, you need some help with Slack? Yep, okay. I know, I'm sorry if this all sounds daunting. It's a lot of information right now, but I promise you, once you're in there, it's so easy, you almost think you're doing something wrong. You know, you'll see the chat questions coming up. It will feel strange because of course this asynchronous world is strange. But as the questions are coming in, I think, you know, you'll just be engaged in answering people and helping them connect with your content. So don't feel stressed out about it. I'm happy to do any dress rehearsals with people that feel like you need that bit of practice before you get in there. Mamona asks, will there be tech support help on site virtually on the day of? So yes, the Slack channel will be great for that, the Slack group. And Cadmium, I will connect you with some Cadmium vendor support throughout the conference so you can connect with them, but I'm going to do that for you in January. Marcia, how do you know if your institution has a site license? I can tell you, I'm pretty sure that York does, but we might actually be finalizing how many numbers they need. Heather, can I share the login with my co-presenters so we can have one slide and audio recording instead of separate ones? I mean, Heather, you can try that. I'm pretty sure someone did that last year. It sounds like that could work. I've just never done it. Thank you, Kate, for joining. I'm going to stop recording. Thanks, everybody.